Disclaimer. This program is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The following program is intended for mature audience only.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kathy Swain Jones.
Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Joseph Zollicoffer.
Hi, and I'm Sonia Williams Finney.
And this is
Menopause Diaries, Real Talk, Real Stories.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode in Menopause Diaries, Real Talk, Real Stories. We're so glad that you have joined us. If this is your first time, I think you're going to enjoy today's session. I mean, I know I say that with every session, but this is the dynamic of Menopause Diary and how wonderful it is. And I think you're going to enjoy it. If you have been here before, thank you for coming back. And we ask you that you like and share our podcast with your friends. So I am Denise Joseph Zollicoffer, and I'm joined by Dr. Kathy Jones and Sonia Finney, who are my partners in our podcast. And today we have a wonderful guest, Valinda Hanna. And she's willing to share her story with us. So Valinda, welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you.
We're glad you're here. And as we talked about your menopause journey, you had some really interesting points and that I was hoping that you would share with our audience today. So Valinda, without much ado, go ahead and start and tell us your story.
Sure. Thank you, Denise. I was actually so, excited when we started talking and you told me about, this podcast because one of the things that we shared or that I shared was that, going through menopause, I didn't know who to talk to, I didn't know there's a lot of resources out there, but sometimes you get bogged down with so much information, you don't know which direction to turn. And of course, you go into your OBGYN, you're going to your primary care physician and, and everybody's telling you something and, your head is in a tailspin. So, my whole story is, I think I started perimenopause in about my mid 40s. And the first thing obviously is my periods became erratic. And, I, of course, told my OBGYN that, and he said that, yes, you're more than likely going through starting that menopause. But that was pretty much all he said. He didn't tell me all the other side effects, right? Because when we have kids, we know obviously our stomach's going to grow when we're pregnant, your feet are going to swell, things like that. But nobody tells you, okay, here's some things that may start happening with menopause besides you don't see your period. And I was all excited about not seeing my period, obviously, but all the other side effects that came with it. And so some of those I started to tell you about. Basically, obviously the biggest one was the weight gain. I tried everything, every diet, everything I could think of, and the weight would not come off. And it came on in the midriff area, which is typically not an area that I struggled with weight on. And what happened is I joined gym after gym. I did training, I got a coach, and I joined one particular gym. And then through that process, I tore my meniscus and had to have surgery. Had to have knee surgery. So hence I'm back to square one because now I can't even walk, much less get on a treadmill and run or do anything else.
Was this mid 40s or late 40s by now?
This was more now towards late 40s.
Okay. So
Late
you had
40s.
struggled for a few years.
Yes, absolutely. For a few years. Headaches, fatigue. I just didn't understand why I'm always tired.
Did you relate it to, did you think this is menopause, or did you think, okay, I heard about, he told me that, but something else is going on in my body?
Dr. Kathy, that's, what you're saying is I did not relate it. And that when I had that conversation with Denise, that's what I said, because I'm going to the primary care physician and I'm like, okay, she's doing the blood work. Well, your blood work's coming back fine. I'm like, I must be low on something, vitamin. It must be anemic, something. Tell me something. I go to the OBGYN, my periods are, sporadic, but And
but
again,
no validation. You were like,
exactly.
okay, so you were looking for that answer. Somebody's got to tell me something.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
so we can fix it and move on.
Yes, yes. I wanted, I wish there was a diagnose for it. And what happened too is, well, I'm giving information to one doctor, but not necessarily giving it to another doctor as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, too, I don't blame the doctor trying to connect the dots for me.
Yeah.
So again, so the fatigue, the one thing that I think I talked to Denise about too, with the, erratic periods, I used to have fibroids. And the fibroids, the pain actually got really bad. I never had bad periods like that because the fibroids were never that big. So the pain, really lower back pain. So then guess what? I decided to go get a chiropractor now. So I got the OBGYN, I got the chiropractor, I got the primary care physician, I got the coach to train.
Did they recommend hysterectomy at some point?
He actually, the OBGYN said to me, and I really did like him because his first thing was to always prescribe or do a surgery. He said, Valinda, if you give it some time, depending on how much pain you can take, that eventually when the period stops, the fibroid will, I guess, dry up and that will help. And he was absolutely right. I didn't end up doing surgery or anything like that. And when my periods finally stopped, those excruciating pain in my pelvic area, my shooting down my leg, my lower back, I'm like, okay, maybe it's sciatica. So I'm on the, just trying to figure it out, like all these, different things. And then obviously to the hair thinning. Oh, that was another thing. So now I'm buying all kind of hair products. And I'm taking
and all this is just going on as you're perimenopausal and you've got 10 people on board now treating you and still not really understanding what was going on.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I had a nutritionist. Let me tell you, I think
Wow.
if I think about all the money that I spent.
Well, you did your part. You did your part.
Sure did.
I did. I got a nutritionist. I got a coach. I had all the other doctors, the chiropractor, the massage, the special massage to help with the pains.
Wow.
Lack of sleep, fatigue, hair thinning, brain fog. Oh my God. Also, big
So
one.
Valinda, I just want to make sure I'm getting a good idea of the timeline here. This is not while you stop having your period. This is all going on while you're having these erratic periods.
Absolutely.
While you're in the perimenopausal phase.
Yes.
And I want to say something about that. Is most likely you said that you kind of started in your mid 40s, 45, 46.
Yes.
And so, and as a lot of African American women do, and a lot of us have fibroids, and what ends up happening, age is 49, 50, 51. And so at 40, having imbalances and hormonal surges.
Yes.
And they just sort of overlooked it. And then you just kept declining.
Right. And of course, the hot flashes. Oh, that was, I think I told Denise about that. I went to a friend's
When
party.
did that start?
The hot flashes pretty much started about when the period started becoming erratic. And so that was, I think, my strongest indicator of menopause because I'd heard my mom or my aunts and other friends.
Was that in your 50s or late 40s, 48, 49?
Late 40s into the 50s. And I don't have a period anymore, but I still have hot flashes. They're not as bad. Thank God. They're not as bad. I mean, when I'm telling you sweat is pouring off of me, like just pouring down my face. And it's just a feeling. Sometimes I would tell other girlfriends who weren't going through it, I'm like, wait till you go through it because it just feels like somebody turned up the temperature inside your body and it won't come down.
Yeah.
Like a furnace. You feel like a furnace.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were going to tell us a story about going to your friend's wedding.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, that was meeting my friend. Oh, so I was going to an event that she had at that she was planning and all dressed up, right? Just ready to go out, looking fabulous, even though I'm going through all of this. And I'm almost to the destination and I just felt like a gush just came out of me. Like, when a water bag breaks and I know that's not a water bag. right?
Mm.
And I just felt this warm, I mean, just tremendous gush. I pulled into Publix parking lot, ran into the bathroom, and oh my goodness, my period is everywhere.
Wow.
Mm.
I mean,
Wow.
everywhere. I literally, thankfully, it hadn't gotten on my outer clothes. I literally had to run down the aisle. I bought Depends. I bought pads.
Oh, wow.
Did you stop by the cashier or did you say, I'll be right back? I'm not stealing. I have to take care of this and I'll be
No,
back.
I
Don't
took
worry.
it into the bathroom.
Here's my driver's license. I gotta
Yes.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll never forget that experience. That only happened that one time.
Yeah.
I remember that clearly, obviously, because it was a lot. It was embarrassing. It was a lot.
Did you relate that to your perimenopause or menopause at that time?
I did. At that point, I
Okay.
realized, okay, yes, this is
Okay.
definitely, not normal. I never had, erratic or periods like that. My periods weren't heavy. So I knew, okay, something's happening here. And I pretty much surmised that, yeah, my body is telling me it's wrapping up, this
Was
month.
it that one time or did they have to end up supporting you or treating it somehow, or it was just that one event?
It was that
Yeah.
one time. Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
that one time that it was so bad that happened,
Yeah.
After that, I learned it was never as heavy, but obviously I bought was that now maxi pads, size 6,
Yeah.
the biggest size, right? The
Yeah.
overnights, that's what I remember. The overnights,
Yeah.
I use the overnights for all day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's kind of when it started hitting you, the weight gain and maybe the
Yes.
hair loss and maybe all of this is menopause.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say, Dr. Kathy, I have a best girlfriend, and she had a hysterectomy early
Yeah.
on because she had really bad fibroids. So she had a hysterectomy early. So she didn't go through all of these, but she was having little symptoms, and so she would be looking and go on YouTube, become her own medical doctor. And so
Mhm.
she started to talking to me and saying, okay, well, you're telling me this, and I just saw something on YouTube about that. So that's how I started to more connect the dots now.
Mhm.
Okay, this is meant, but by
Yeah.
that time, I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing you had that friend who was able to direct you there, because
Yes.
I hear you talking about you're talking 5 to 7 years of suffering and not quite understanding what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely, Denise. And one of the things, I talked to a lot of girlfriends that, talked about menopause, and you see all the commercials. One of the things that I contemplated, but I just heard so much bad things about it was, hormones, I knew my hormones at this point. I'm understanding my hormones obviously is out of whack for lack of estrogen, right? And so, but every time I heard anybody talk about it, they're like, do not get estrogen treatment. That stuff's not good for you. You're going to have even worse side effects. So I literally was not taking anything other than if my head's hurting, something for my headache, vitamins to help with the brain fog, or painkillers for the pain in the knee, or things like that.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the things that I think would be helpful to our listeners to know is that, because there's a lot of women who go through that and don't really know their options, and they're really at, the mercy of whoever's counseling them during that time. Because there's an option. So, and this is just for the audience, but there's an option of an endometrial ablation, which is a 2-minute procedure and it's for perimenopausal women, where they just take a little it's a hot balloon that goes inside and it burns the lining off the uterus, and that prevents the bleeding. The hormones that are used nowadays are all plant-based, bioidentical, and so they're relatively safe for most women to use. So these are all options for anybody who may be struggling, with those and not and in your same situation have not been told that there were options. And so there's a lot of women wear the Mirena IUD, which is a progesterone. So that corrects. So you were having too much estrogen, because for most women, the progesterone falls first. And so you start heavy bleeding. And then you could use an IUD, the progesterone IUD, wear that 5 years through your perimenopause and at least stop the bleeding of it. So these are options that women can talk to their doctors about if they have that bleeding. There's definitely options other than surgery.
And
And there's options other than hormones.
right. But I think also, Kathy, hormones have gotten a bad rap.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so, kind of reintroducing the idea of, hormone therapy is not necessarily bad. Like you said, they're bioidentical hormones that would help. But,
Yeah.
I think just because of all the hoopla about hormones over the years, people are just shying away from doing anything like that. And which
Yeah.
is Valinda's case.
And they're
Yeah.
saying that's
And
quite option. And there's so many women that actually feel the same way. I mean, I was one of them. Like I didn't want to take any estrogen or any hormone replacement therapy because of the so-called negative, stigma that surrounded them. But I have to tell you that since I started, I mean, they were a lifesaver for me. And I do the bioidentical hormones, and I haven't had any issues. But I know that early on, I mean, I was very reluctant myself to even consider it. And I know several people that I've talked to feel the same way. So, yeah.
yeah, because that whole generation before now came off of the Women's Health Initiative, where they were using the wrong hormones in the wrong people at the wrong time, and so there was increased risk in heart attack and strokes and breast cancers. Now that we have the plant-based bioidentical, and if you use it topically, so if you use a patch or a cream, and the plant-based bioidentical capsule, or you can get the progesterone in the patch, that prevents the increased risk in heart attack and stroke and breast cancer, because it doesn't have to be metabolized by the liver. So it's actually a good choice. So if somebody is struggling with, at that point when you were struggling with hot flashes and it really had gotten bad, you could have put on the hormone patch. That is the best way to stop hot flashes during perimenopause. Just correct the imbalance with a topical, whether it's the cream or the patch, and you'd add a little progesterone so you wouldn't bleed, and you'd have some correction of your hormone. You wouldn't have lost your hair. You wouldn't have had skin issues. You wouldn't have had intimacy issues. You would continue to have your vaginal moisture, and you can transition through menopause in that way, or stop it at any given time. So it is something that, again, it takes hearing it on a podcast and hearing it over and over, that was the old day, and now this day it is. And so with my patients, I usually that is certainly an option, and is just as much as an option of not having hormones. And so those are two conversations that can be had. The problem is that you have to find somebody who wants to give you those options. And I know a lot of women miss making that choice because no one explains to them, well, your great great grandmother on your father's side had breast cancer, but probably you don't. And here's how you can tell if maybe there's a genetic breast cancer in the family, if there's 3 women on the same side of the family who've had a breast cancer, or but to help open those conversations that it could be healthy.
I
A
wish
healthy
I
option.
heard how many benefits. I mean, all of the benefits of the estrogen. I was like kicking myself when, like, why didn't I do it sooner? Because, like Kathy was just saying, I mean, there's so many different things that are affected, when you start going through that menopause phase. And I mean, I was like, wait a minute, I could have done this. And I had a lot of the similar issues that you had. I mean, from the hair loss, my hot flushes were not so bad, but just some of the other things that you've talked about. I mean, I definitely experienced the lack of sleep, the lower back pain, the headaches, all of those symptoms I experienced. And I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Because I mean, I immediately saw the change and felt, better after I started taking the hormone replacement therapy.
And the sooner you start it, actually less in the cascade you fall. So when we listen to your story, Valinda, we see that, okay, I started with this. several years later, I ended up here with a pot of stuff. Had somebody just said, "Well, hey, try this little patch," and it's made from yams. It's a hormone that is extracted from yams. In the old days, 30 years ago, we were using Premarin and Provera, and it was made from horse urine, pregnant horse urine, and then it was synthetically made, and then it was a pill. And so now you're taking horse urine that's got steroids and all that stuff in it, synthetic, taking this pill, metabolized by the liver, and then the toxic metabolites were what were harmful for us. Now it's a plant-based, topical, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't develop those toxic metabolites. So I would say if anybody is even considering it, unless it's a contraindication in your family history, it is something to certainly consider. If you just for whatever reason don't want to be on hormones, there's other options for that as well. There's other options to rebalance your body in a natural way. And that's what's so exciting about today is that women have two really good options, either to be on them or not to be on them.
Yeah, and I think I'm from that generation where, I remember there was never much option for things, birth control, all
Yeah.
of that. So we tend to, think, okay, we don't know, first of all, that there is something out there that can help us.
Yeah.
And, we suffer in silence,
Yeah.
apart from maybe sharing it with a couple good friends. Honestly, I didn't think my doctors had a solution. So,
Well, and what happened is once the negative study came out, either you had to really study and research what the facts of it were and why did you say it wasn't safe? And now that you're saying that it is, and then understand that there was, plant-based option. So it really just became easy to just say no. And so a lot of doctors, I don't think, really spent the time learning the new generation of hormone replacement. And so it's half of them will know and know very well, and the other half won't really mention it unless you mention it, and that's unfortunate because especially for the woman who's 45, 46, 47, that would be probably a really good option.
And a funny story too. I remember when I first started going through it. Of course, the one person you call is your mom. So I'm talking to my mom. She's like, "Oh yeah, it took me about 10, 15 years." I'm like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is what I'm gonna have to deal with for the next 10, 15 years."
Yeah. Wow.
Well, at least you had that conversation with you, Valinda.
I know, right? And you're fortunate that you had this conversation like in your 40s. I mean, imagine, like I said, I had all of the symptoms pretty much that you had, and the brain fog, that was one I didn't mention a little bit ago, but I didn't even learn all the stuff that we're talking about right now. I honestly just learned like in the last 2 or 3 years. And I'm older than you. I won't say how much, but I'm definitely older than you are. So I wish that I had known what you know now. I mean, even because I started really late addressing the symptoms and issues that I was having. And fortunately, I have learned about all of the various options. So, and I've had, been able to try different things.
Yeah, and I'm glad that there are more programs, excuse me, more programs coming about where women can just make a phone call, get a consultation from an expert about their hormone replacement, or those options. So we're really, I think now, past the days of you going into the doctor and just having to be, at the doctor's will of what they know and what they don't know. So there's a lot of information out there now. There's a lot of options to use hormone replacement or to not to use it. And so it's, it's better for all of us. And those of us who are a bit older, again, legally, we came through that time where it was a no-no. The doctors trained in the time where it was a no-no and they just didn't have the experience with it. And a lot of us as women, when we went through perimenopause, we figured it out on, to make it an option for ourselves and for our patients. So, but I'm happy to see all of the options that are available, online for consultations, for information. And it's hard because there's a lot of information out there, but at least it's there. And Linda had nothing. And she did a lot of the work on her own.
Yeah, 10 specialists involved and still nothing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And one of the other things too was it took me a while to figure out too. I was emotional. Why am I emotional? That one, I connected the dot a little bit better because I remember, of course, when your period comes on, you're emotional. So I'm like, okay, well, my period's finishing. So this could explain why, I cry for no reason, or I'm angry or easily agitated. What's going on here? So.
Were you sleeping or not sleeping? Were you waking up with hot flashes or
I was waking up, right. It would be pain because I'm typically, I have friends that's so envious of me. I'm typically a type of person, I lay my head on the pillow and bam, I am out. But what kept me during this time, what kept me up was the hot flashes would definitely wake me up because now I am sweating. And dropping the AC to the lowest didn't even work. So I had the AC going, the fan. A friend told me to keep a wet cloth next to my bed. I did that, so yeah.
Or one of those little portable fans.
I bought a couple of those. I bought a couple of those.
What have you found has been most helpful for you with the night sweats or the hot flashes?
So actually, that girlfriend that started looking up things on YouTube for me, one of the things she discovered that helped me too was obviously what in my diet made it worse. Sugar. And I'm a sweetie. So I went to a girlfriend's outing and I was just pouring down sweat. And I'm like, why am I sweating so much? Again, I knew it was, because of the menopause, but what made it just trigger like that? I had a glass of wine.
Yep.
So that's when I started learning, okay, you don't want to have this, really bad hot flash. No wine, no sugar before bed. Watch what you. So that has been what's kind of helping me, Dr. Kathy.
That's excellent advice because that's exactly what the first thing to do if you want to stop that naturally. Because what happens is the liver just gets overloaded at night. That's the only organ that's working other than your heart and your lungs at night. And so when you take the sweet, and a lot of us either sweet or a glass of wine, and then some patients have to even change their clothes. They sweat so much, and when you stop that, the sweats go away. So that's one easy thing that everybody could do is to stop that little dessert or little snack right before bed, or that glass of wine right before bed. And even if you wanted, wine or champagne, maybe earlier in the evening, and you just kind of test out how it works for you. But that's excellent advice.
Oh, Kathy, you're ruining it for some of us. I mean, I'm going on a dinner date. What's up with that, Kathy?
But you're not having hot flashes. Yeah, so see, you're excluded. That's why you can do that. Otherwise, you would have known that was a thing.
Okay.
So one of the things is Denise doesn't have hot flashes, or has not been her thing.
Right.
I was a sugar eater. And I was back in the day when there was no options, and my hot flashes drove me crazy. But I was, I would have my whatever it was, sugar at night, every night. And then when I realized that was part of the problem, and I think a lot of women don't realize the wine and the sugar is a big thing. The other thing, an easy thing to do is get something like magnesium glycinate. You could take some magnesium at bedtime. That stops the hot flashes and it helps you sleep. And that's a real easy one to do. They're over-the-counter supplements that you could take that would just help with the night. But it's always best to remove what's really causing it or aggravating it. And then, versus taking, but magnesium is definitely one that would help you sleep, especially if you've got to work, you're a professional, you need to get up in the morning, it's not convenient. You certainly want to stop the sugar and the wine and, maybe take a little magnesium at bedtime, check with your doctor to make sure that magnesium is something that, you're okay to do. And if they say you're okay to do, that's a good option to help sleep and stay asleep.
Dr. Kathy, you just said something too that was an aha for me too, because the hot flashes were worse at night. I would get them sporadically here and there in the daytime, but they were horrendous at night. Obviously, wake me up. I'm, waking up soaking wet. But and you just said it's because the liver is still, I guess, overworking. That's what's happening.
The liver gets backed up, and especially
Okay.
when we're perimenopausal or even menopausal, it's trying to detoxify all of the things that came in with our foods, with medication, with the hormone balance, and then when you add that wine at night or that little snack size candy bar, it says, wait a minute now, I'm already have a lot to do. And then it gets backed up trying to, to manage that, to prepare our body for the next day. And then when it gets backed up, then it comes out as heat in the skin. So, and this is for most, if someone says that I don't really have much during the day, I have it at night, it's something you're eating and it's liver congestion. So, and another thing is you can put lemon in your water, or lemon and ginger in your water every day for a week, and that helps decongest and detoxify the liver, and that can help with the night sweats. So if you purpose to, well, I'm going to stop the wine, and then I'm going to do some lemon water for a week. That's a really good way to clean your liver out, plus stay away from the items that cause the night sweats, and you can beat them just like that. But if you don't know and you have no idea that you are contributing to your own, discomfort, it's miserable.
Okay, so I just learned something. I didn't know that. So that was a nugget for me tonight, Dr. Kathy, as well. So if you're someone that like just as out of habit, like drinks lemon in your water or whatever, so that shouldn't, I mean, I would think that if you're doing it throughout the day or whatever, that might help as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So those who like lemon in their water, lime in their water, or ginger in their water, you're already helping your liver. The problem though is if you're adding something at night, like you eat your sweet or you have a glass of wine. So if you're doing that, continue to do it, but take away what may be, or even it could even be a late snack, anything that because the liver's closed the kitchen at 8:00. And anything, if somebody comes in, that how your mother used to say, the kitchen's closed.
Yeah.
And if whatever that late night snack that you're forcing on the liver to have to process for you before you get up in the morning to stay balanced the next day, it can't do it. And that's your liver just saying it's too much.
Got it.
And this is how we listen to our body. Our body tells us. So any discomfort that we have, so your body, Valinda, all of that, it was telling you something's not right. And if you don't listen to the first something's not right, then something else comes, because it really is all connected in a circuit, and it's a domino effect. One falls and then the others fall. And then unfortunately, some women find themselves sick from all it started with just the imbalance with perimenopause and menopause. And I wouldn't hesitate to use the plant-based bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, at least to stop the flashes, keep you sleeping, protect your bones. You don't have to worry. And it stops the insulin resistance, because the so what you had when you gained weight was a chemical flip of the switch. Your adrenal gland said, there's a lot going on here. I'm usually only working when you're in trouble, and it's like something's going on with your hormones, and I've got to work all the time now, and I need to recruit. I need to help make extra hormone, so I'm going to put this little layer right here. I'm going to cause everything you eat to turn into energy for later on. That's what the adrenal gland calls it, energy for later on, and that becomes that layer. And so even if you diet, then the body says, I've been working hard doing all of this, and you have the nerve to cut your calories, and you have the nerve to go get on the treadmill and try to do extra, and then you get bigger. So you'll hear women say they do all of these things. Why am I getting bigger? It's because the insulin resistance is something that you have to, again, it's really all about listening to your body and fixing it as soon as you start feeling something.
I could totally attest to that. When I joined that gym, and it was fitness, and I loved it. I loved getting on the treadmill, the rowing, and all of that. And so they had a challenge, like it was like the beginning of a new year, and so they had a weight loss challenge, and build your muscles. And I signed up for it and I took my weight and my muscles. They did that at the beginning. And when I was finished, I was more, my weight was more. Like, oh my God, I don't know what else to do here. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, and so
my
what you
body
did
was
was
fighting me. Like my
that's
body
right.
was like, you know.
You were going through a stressful time. So your adrenal glands, your fight or flight organ was activated. And then you say you're going to go to where you get 20 seconds of rest between each activity, and they make you do 3 of them, 3 sets, and then you're on to the next jump up and ring the bell or whatever it is. And so your adrenal gland put on more weight to deal with the stress of that. So that's why we always say, if you're going through perimenopause or you're menopausal and you're having problems with insulin resistance, the better exercise is you'd be better just doing a relaxing yoga, a long walk, put a meditative or a good relaxing podcast on, anything that brings your cortisol levels down. The weight then drops off. But nobody teaches us this. So we go and we do all of the wrong things when all you have to do is, if you're perimenopausal and you're gaining weight, take a walk or stop going to go maybe once a week and go, do yoga 2 or 3 times a week, and the weight will come off because the insulin, the body's able to, it is a stress to the body. It's all right, all hands on deck. She's in. And so, that just contributed to your insulin resistance. So now and now you can, again, it's important to manage your stress. Magnesium also is one of the hot items now that just is for stress and anxiety, and anybody can take it as long as you're not on, there's no real no, but we don't really want to give medical advice and say, well, you should take it. Just make sure with your doctor, there's no reason you can't take magnesium. And you can, and it helps, it would help you with your daily stress. It helps you sleep at night. You can take it one in the daytime. You could take one at bedtime to help. And this is for, any perimenopausal woman. But the idea would be to listen to your body, give it what it needs, whatever that is. And if when you go to the doctor, they don't seem to have an answer, then just keep looking for, the right person who can kind of walk you through all of the things that are available. The bad thing now, and it's good and bad, there's too much darn information out now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to something and I'm like, you told me 5 things to don't do yesterday. Now you're saying here's 10 more. How do I? And so you don't know what's right for you, what's not right for you. But I can tell you that the magnesium, any perimenopausal woman who's not sleeping, and having anxiety during the day, that's a really good one to just add to your, your supplements. Your vitamin D, your magnesium, your vitamin E. Vitamin E stops hot flashes. So your magnesium would help at night. The vitamin E would help during the day. The vitamin D overall helps stop hot flashes. It also helps settle the adrenal gland. It helps, usher calcium into the bones. And then a multivitamin to make sure you're getting all of the nutrients you need for your hair. And then if your body continues to have symptoms, you listen, and then you still, and like you did, you didn't give up. You still kept looking for answers. I wish you had gotten answers sooner.
I wish I did now. Listening to you, oh my God, listening to you ladies, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I felt like I suffered for a long time for no reason.
Yeah. And that's why this podcast is so important, because there is a 45-year-old now sitting out there who now knows, I don't have, this is what this is, even though I'm 45, and I don't have to let myself decline.
Yeah.
And so that's important.
Valinda, if you had heard this information, let's say 8 years ago, how do you think you would have changed your experience?
Oh my goodness. Well, definitely, I probably would not have needed that knee surgery for the torn meniscus, because then I would have heard Dr. Kathy says, take a nice little walk, do some yoga, versus, I'm thinking in my mind, do what I did when I was in the 20s, CrossFit. Let me go back to that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that definitely, I had arthroscopic surgery because I tore the meniscus and then I had arthritis in the knee, and
Yeah.
I really was doing it to lose weight because I was just packing the weight on and not understanding why it wouldn't come off.
And see, and also during the hormonal change, the joints get stiffer and a little thinner, and they're easily damaged during the perimenopause menopause period. So again, that would have been the wrong thing. Imagine had you been able to come in and someone said, "Okay, don't do this, do this." And put your podcast on and just go take a relaxing walk for 30 minutes every day, and you lose weight versus what you were doing at a
Oh my God, I would have thought that the person was a miracle worker because
Yeah.
it was just
well
that.
I used to go to Fit 45, and I went to Fit 45, same thing, 20 seconds in between each activity. You do 3 sets of it, then you're on to the next, and you're pushing tires and all that stuff.
Yep.
And I remember I think I don't know if I was getting ready for a wedding or whatever it was, and I went on vacation for 2 weeks. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get further behind. I lost weight, eating more, drinking, relaxing. I lost weight. And then that's when I realized, this is not for me. It was, you think you're doing good because you can do it and it's challenging. But for a menopause woman, if I can just get one thing through this podcast, the strenuous stair steppers, the, challenging yourself with the doing as much as you can do, the squats with the weights is the wrong thing to do during this time. It's hard to accept. But you're far better served with just a relaxing walk on a regular basis.
Yeah, and Denise, I think that was definitely my worst experience. That and the hot flashes. The hot flashes were really uncomfortable, obviously.
Yeah.
Those were the two worst things. I mean, all of it was uncomfortable, but
Have your hot flashes settled down?
they absolutely have.
Okay.
Of course, like I said, I realized I can't have wine, laid
Yeah.
and things like that. So
Are you taking vitamin D?
actually, listening to you, I had just did my annual for the new year, and everything was great. My blood work came back great, except my vitamin D was low. So she has me on one pill a week right now for the next.
Very good. And I know which one that is.
Yeah.
You will feel amazing, and give yourself 2 to 4 weeks and you'll feel like a different person. And you'll say, why didn't somebody address this earlier? Vitamin D is needed for all of your functions. So vitamin D is going to be your happy pill. You're going to feel alive again. If your joints or muscles are hurting, all of that'll go away. You'll feel like a different person. Everything falls on that vitamin D. And so I'm happy to hear that. That's going to take, you deserve that. It's going to take you to a different level, but for you to be on that one a week means it was neglected.
Yes.
A while.
She said it was very low. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I get excited when I hear that because you don't know what bringing it up is going to make you feel.
And just listening to you,
my God.
I'm excited for you ladies in this podcast. I'm going to tell you, please get this out, like scream from the rooftop, like please.
Well, especially for us, because we sometimes the doctors just don't have enough time. And sometimes, I don't think everybody gets to hear the same information and the same amount of time with the doctor. And sometimes, the Black and brown women get the least amount of the conversations. And so it's important to me to be able to have this time to say all the things that 10-minute visit we couldn't do. And, and so that's why we value your stories so much, because each and every one changes somebody's life.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say too that I think you're fortunate in that you're one of the few people that I think that we've had on the podcast that have had a doctor, or it sounds like your doctors really listen to you. Because I know in my situation, I had to change doctors 2 or 3 times to get somebody just listen to and hear what I said I was feeling to address the issues. So it sounds like you've got, you've been, fortunate enough to have some good doctors that really listened and keyed into what you were saying to help you try to correct, the issues that you were having. So I think that's good. That's rare, I believe. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and she did a lot of her homework herself too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she probably was a little, the questions she asked.
Yeah.
And hopefully, again, women watching this podcast will be empowered with just one question they may learn each week, on, well, let me ask this. And that's how sometimes you get that information by already having some information, and you challenge your provider to give you more information to help you.
Absolutely. I mean, because we know our bodies best, and I think that's important that we advocate for ourselves when we go to the doctor. And so, yeah.
Well, and that's another key thing. Listen to, and this is coming from your doctor, a doctor. Listen to your body. Your body, like Sonia says, if it's telling you something is wrong, it's never wrong when it tells you that. The doctor might be wrong. You might be wrong. Your best friend who told you it might be this might be wrong, but your body's never wrong. And you continue the fight and the search until you find somebody to listen, to validate, and give you whatever that might be, solutions to getting better. We don't have to, we had no options. And almost, Valinda, you kind of have, I mean, you struggle, but you're on your way now.
Yes.
And so, that's what I want our listeners to really know, is that listen to your body, and it will lead you, it will lead you to treatment every time. I mean, it will lead you to getting help when you need it.
And Valinda, I know that you are a high-powered person. You have big, lots of people who you're responsible for. And I think for me, what I'm hoping that you take away from this is put on your Menopause Diary podcast, go for a walk.
Yes,
And then,
absolutely.
yeah, and go do yoga. Do
Yes.
something that's really, really relaxing, because your life is so stressful. And
It is. And I think to just hear you guys say that, to hear Dr. Kathy, you guys say that, Denise, like go for a walk, and it makes sense. It honestly, like it's clicking, like, oh my God, that makes absolute sense, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking all of this exercise would have helped me lose this weight, but you're saying I just really stressed the body out. So,
but it's actually freeing when you realize I can do something that I actually can do, and I enjoy doing it. And I always say, put something on and learn something for that hour that you walk, to just to make you better, and better at work, or better in something else that you want to do. And I know that what happens is, as women begin to learn more, you teach other women, and I have clients who they begin to learn, and then even how they interact with the employees they have at work. Instead of somebody being maybe chronically late, they may now say, can identify with that other perimenopause or menopausal woman, and maybe understand her struggles more. And when you start having solutions, you're able to start, oh, well, I do understand, you understand that maybe, their struggles, and can add some of the things that, and that's how we help each other, one at a time, but empowering, with the information, and teaching others.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if you're going to go for a walk to de-stress, this is not the time to be on the phone with someone that, having some major issues. I mean, this is your time. This is your vacation. This 1 hour a day is your vacation from it all. You shut other people out and just do something that's really fun for you, because if you don't de-stress, then your body's just going to continue in its very stressful state, and you'll just continue on that same roller coaster.
Right. Because remember, that adrenal gland, that is our fight or flight organ. And when, it sees perimenopause and menopause as a stressor, and then if you're adding to that, you're only adding to your dysfunction. But there's another thing, yin yoga, YIN yoga, is actually a cortisol lowering practice. It's a floor yoga. There's a girl on YouTube, Cassandra with a K. You do her 1 hour class, just get a mat and 2 blocks, but it's a deep tendon stretch of the shoulders, the neck, the lower back, and the hips.
Those
And
stress
this is
areas.
where we hold stress, our daily stress tension, that there's no way to get out unless like Valinda did. She tried to go to the chiropractor to help. But when you do these deep tendon stretches once a week or, twice a week, you actually lower your cortisol and your body feels better. I had a lady one time, she would ride 26 miles a day. And she was going through perimenopause, putting on weight, never had gained weight in her life. And I tried to explain, that's the 26 miles while you're going through, your adrenal glands can't do all of that and your insulin resistance has kicked in. I convinced her, instead of doing it every day, can you give me 2 days a week of just doing the yin yoga for an hour? And it flipped her insulin resistance back down to normal. And but no one had ever told her that. She was an athlete her whole life. She didn't understand why. And so if you get the right answers, and the right answers are actually easy. They're easier than, somebody telling you to go to Orange Theory to halfway kill yourself and paying to do it.
Right.
Well, Valinda, thank you so much for joining us. I hope this has been very helpful for you and for our listeners out there. We have come to the end of another podcast. And like I told you, you're going to like it. And so there you have it. It was a very informal and informative podcast. And we are so thankful that, Valinda, you shared your story. And I know your story is going to touch a lot of lives out there, because you're not the only one going through it. So
there's going to be a lot of that's me. There's going to be a lot of that. And so thank you. We were so glad to have you and enjoyed having you on.
Thank you.
And remember, thanks. Remember to share and like our podcast, and we look forward to seeing you at our another episode. Have a great one. Thanks, Valinda.
This is Menopause Diaries, Real Talk, Real Stories. Thanks for listening. Let's thrive together through every hot flash, mood swing, and sleepless night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Menopause Diaries, Real Talk, Real Stories. If you have questions or want to share your story or would like to be a guest, visit us on Instagram at Menopause Diaries Podcast. Let us start a conversation and navigate this journey together.